Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, Part 6, in which all our protagonists find the thin veneer of tranquility in their lives tested by family and friends, with farcical and tragic consequences. Chapter 31. The newly elected provincial marshal and many from the victorious party of the New dined that day at Vronsky's. Vronsky had come to the elections because he was bored in the country and had to assert his right to freedom before Anna, and in order to repay Zvyazhky with support at the elections for all the trouble he had taken for him at the Zemstvo elections, and most of all in order to strictly fulfill all the responsibilities of the position of nobleman and landowner that he had chosen for himself. But he had never expected that this business of the elections could get him so involved, could so touch him to the quick, or that he could do it so well. He was a completely new man in the circle of the noblemen, but he was obviously a success, and he was not mistaken in thinking that he had already gained influence among them. Contributing to that influence were his wealth and high birth, his splendid lodgings in town, which his old acquaintance Zhirkov, a financial dealer who had established a flourishing bank in Kashin, allowed him to use, an excellent chef whom Vronsky had brought along from the country, his friendship with the governor, who had been Vronsky's comrade and a patronized comrade at that, and most of all his simple, equable treatment of everyone, which very soon made most of the noblemen change their opinion about his supposed pride. He himself felt that, apart from the crack-brained gentleman married to Kitty Sherbatsky, who, apropos de botte, had told him with ridiculous anger heaps of totally inappropriate inanities, every nobleman whose acquaintance he had made had ended by becoming his adherent. He saw clearly, and others admitted it as well, that he had contributed greatly to Nevedovsky's success. And now, at his own table, celebrating Nevedovsky's victory, he experienced a pleasant feeling of triumph for the man of his choice. The elections themselves enticed him so much that, should he be married by the end of the 3-year term, he was thinking of standing himself, in the same way as, after winning a prize through a jockey, he would always wish he had raced himself. But now the jockey's victory was being celebrated. Vronsky sat at the head of the table. To his right sat the young governor, a general of imperial headquarters. For everyone else, he was the master of the province, who had solemnly opened the elections, delivered a speech, and inspired both respect and servility in many, as Vronsky could see. But for Vronsky he was Katy Maslov, as he had been nicknamed in the corps of pages, who felt abashed before him, and whom Vronsky tried to mettre à son nez. To the left of him sat Nevedovsky, with his youthful, unshakable, and venomous face. With him Vronsky was simple and respectful. Zvyazhky bore his failure cheerfully. It was not even a failure for him, as he said himself, addressing Nevedovsky with a glass. It was impossible to find a better representative of the new direction which the nobility must follow, and therefore all that was honest, as he said, stood on the side of the present success and celebrated it. Stepan Arkadyevitch was also glad that he was having a merry time, and that everyone was pleased. Over an excellent dinner, they recalled episodes from his elections. Zvyazhky comically imitated the marshal's tearful speech, and observed, turning to Nevedovsky, that His Excellency would have had to find a different method, more complicated than tears, for auditing the books. Another jocular nobleman told them that the stockinged lackeys had been summoned for the provincial marshal's ball, and that now they would have to be sent back unless the new provincial marshal gave a ball with stockinged lackeys. During dinner, Novodosky was constantly addressed with the words, "Our provincial marshal," and "Your Excellency." This was done with the same pleasure as when a young woman is addressed as "Madam," and with her husband's last name. Novodosky pretended that he was not only indifferent to, but even scorned the title. Yet it was obvious that he was happy and only kept a tight rein on himself so as not to express a delight unsuited to the new liberal milieu in which they all found themselves. Over dinner, several telegrams were sent to people interested in the course of the elections, and Stepan Arkadyevitch, who was also very merry, sent Darya Alexandrovna a telegram with the following content: "Novodosky won by 12 votes. Congratulations. Spread news." He dictated it aloud, observing, "They must share the glad tidings." When she received the telegram, Darya Alexandrovna merely sighed over the waste of a rouble, realizing that it must have been the end of the dinner. She knew that Stiva had a weakness for faire jouer le télégraphe at the end of a good dinner. Everything, including the excellent dinner and the wines, not from Russian wine merchants but bottled abroad, was very noble, simple, and merry. The circle of 20 people had been selected by Zviazhsky for like-minded new liberal activists who were at the same time witty and respectable. Toasts were drunk, also half in jest, to the new provincial marshal, to the governor, to the bank director, and to our gentle host. Vronsky was pleased. He had never expected such nice tone in the provinces. At the end of dinner, things grew merrier still. The governor asked Vronsky to attend a concert for the benefit of the brothers, arranged by his wife, who wished to make his acquaintance. "There will be a ball, and you'll see our beauty. In fact, she's remarkable." "Not in my line," Vronsky answered in English, having a fondness for the expression. But he smiled and promised to come. Before leaving the table, when everyone had already begun to smoke, Vronsky's butler came to him with a letter on a tray. "By messenger from Vodvizhensko," he said with a significant look. "It's amazing how much he resembles the assistant prosecutor Zventisky," one of the guests said in French, referring to the butler, while Vronsky read the letter with a frown. The letter was from Anna. He knew its contents even before reading it. Supposing the elections would be over in 5 days, he had promised to be home on Friday. Today was Saturday, and he knew the letter contained reproaches for his not having come on time. The letter he had sent the previous evening probably had not yet reached her. The contents were just as he had expected, but the form was unexpected and particularly disagreeable to him. "Annie is very sick. The doctor says it may be an infection. Alone, I lose my head. Princess Varvara is not a help but a hindrance. I expected you 2 days ago, then yesterday, and now I'm sending to find out where and how you are. I wanted to come myself, but changed my mind, knowing it would displease you. Give me some answer so that I know what to do." Their child was sick, and she wanted to come herself. Their daughter was sick, and there was this hostile tone. The innocent merriment of the elections and that gloomy, oppressive love he had to go back to struck Vronsky by their contrast. But he had to go, and that night he took the first train home. If you enjoy this format, please leave a like and subscribe and return tomorrow for the next chapter.